Good evening and welcome to Journey's Prime with me, Fostina Sarfo. Coming up today, 3 tax measures crucial for the economy yet to be approved by Parliament. Today we're live in Parliament as the House is set to take a break for the Easter celebrations. Plus, we'll bring an interaction with our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Asante, live here on Journey's Prime. Also in the bulletin, former President John Dramani Mahama lashes out at the judiciary as he claims that they have deprived the people of Assin North of representation in Parliament.
In Ghana, our motto is freedom and justice. It means that of all the values that we hold dear, justice is one of them. Unfortunately, sometimes the justice system does not work for everybody. The justice system has not worked for the people of Assin North, and it hasn't worked for Honorable Joe Quason.
Later at 8 p.m., Beverly Broom comes your way with Joy Business. Beverly, what's in store for us? Thanks for choosing us. Now, let's start this bulletin from Parliament, where 3 key tax measures are yet to be approved by Parliament. Now, today, the House is supposed to take a break for the Easter celebrations, but then we'll go live to find out if these tax measures will be approved because government claims that it is crucial for the running of the economy. Already, the minority side in Parliament has already stamped their disapproval about these tax measures, but the minority is still going to have to say what they need to do on the floor today as we'll be crossing over live. Well, let's listen to NPP MP urging the minority to come on board.
You remember when we were going to vote on the ministers? Interview when I told you we have the numbers. Definitely we're going to approve every minister. I mean, this is not the same push. That is not the same push that we're going to this bill anyway. Obviously, we are at a crossroads. As a country, we need to come together to get these things done. It's not about MPP, it's not about NDC issues now. It's more about taking our country to a different step, making sure that the country survives. If we don't get these things out today, and we are not able to get something from the IMF, clearly what it means is that my younger brother, who is at Kobedia Supra RC teaching, will not be paid. My very good friend, Eric Ej's sister, who is at Sampa, who is teaching at Eli, will not, or who's at a nursing school, will not get paid. And clearly, we are not going to go on that tangent. And I strongly believe that for this, it's not about party, it's about a country. It's about the flag that we are all defending. It's about something that we have to come together. Indeed, it's going to be a burden. Don't let us lie ourselves that it's going to be something that's going to be happy. Obviously, you are increasing the burden. But if we don't take that burden now, we will not be able to take it in the years to come. We will lose a lot, as the saying goes. So, so we need to come together. I strongly believe that today we're going to have a very collective and how do we call it, consensus building in approving these bills. Clearly, the good thing is here is that the minority leader is a finance guy. He understands where the country stands now. He knows what we must do to ensure that this country comes back on its feet.
Well, that's NPP MP for Doma is Paul Chumberima. Well, he's also been urging his NDC MPs to get on board. He says this is not the time for partisan politics.
What they are expecting is to see a parliament doing their bidding. They want to see a parliament that is united, a parliament that would take the Ghanaian issue as their issue. It's not about their parochial interests. It's not about them. It's not about politics. It's about Ghana, so that the woman who says that Zabzugu Tatale's issue can really be represented here fairly. And that is what they expect today, that today, what should we do to save our country? What should we do to bring Ghana back to its feet? That is what Ghanaians are expecting from us today. And I'm confident, I'm very confident that we are not going to go out of place in doing that. We must rally behind the flag. And I've said earlier on, it's not about politics now. Today, I don't have to be, this NPP, this NDC, and because NDC people lost some voting for ministers, so we have to, no, it shouldn't be that.
Are you sure the minority caucus have the numbers to pass?
For the minority, well, I am not, I think their leadership will be in a good position to tell us this. But for me, that's what I'm saying. I don't expect us to get to a point where we're going to go for even voting or something or head count or somebody's going to call for a division. Let's do a very good analysis of whatever it is. Do we need this as a country? Will this push our country forward? Would it position us where we want to position that? Would it bring this country back to its feet? Those are the questions I feel we are supposed to answer. And those are the questions I think will help us get it. But for us to always dwell on the numbers and creating problems where some of our friends are now being labeled as bribe takers, and I mean, it's not fair.
Well, how crucial are these tax measures to the running of the economy? Joining me now is economist Professor John Jachi to throw more light on this. Prof, thanks for joining us here on Joy News Prime. First off, let's understand these three key measures and what they seek to achieve with it.
Well, I think that's one thing that the three revenue measures bill seek to achieve. That's to clear the way for the IMF program to take place. Nothing more, nothing less. It does not consider the effect on the business environment. It does not consider the pressure it puts on businesses and the pockets of individuals. It does not consider the erosion of income of individuals and businesses. It does not consider the burden, so to say, on businesses. It does not consider the environment within which businesses are operating. Businesses are operating within an environment of interest rates of around 40%, inflation of around 52.8%, and an exchange rate regime which is not considered to be the best. So if you add these taxes to it, I think the taxes are too burdensome for businesses to bear. And I believe businesses have been speaking about their experiences regarding the taxes that we have imposed on them. So I think we are only looking at one side just to meet an IMF program. But it has actually distorted the business environment.
Well, it's interesting you make mention of that because already this week, Guta has already served notice that these tax measures, if implemented, will spell doom for the business community. Let's look at government. Government says this is necessary for the running of the economy. What other alternatives are available to them?
Well, the alternative has always been there. Government to look at measures regarding expenditure. I believe there is still more room for expenditure cuts, expenditure alignment. That has not been done. So I believe government has alternatives to explore. Even this year, we were told that we need to increase VAT by 2.5 percentage points, remove the benchmark value from the port, and that will pave the way for revenue enhancement. That was done. I think blaming it on the economy, and then they say that without this, the economy will collapse here and there. I think we are now using the economy to blackmail the whole system to have our way. I think we must look at the effect on individuals, the effect on business also, not only to satisfy an IMF program.
Now, what would you suggest we do moving forward, especially at this time where government says the IMF program is crucial for running the economy?
It's crucial, but it does not mean it should put unnecessary burden on the taxpayer. The taxes we have introduced from 2021 up to now, they are just too many. And I mean, they become disruptive to businesses in the country. And and individual households. So every now and then we get people saying that if you approve these taxes for the IMF program, without the IMF program, at this particular date, the economy will collapse. I don't think that is the issue. The issue is that you must balance fiscal policy. Fiscal policy should have a way of influencing productivity, influencing purchasing power, and also generating revenue. So that balance is not seen in what we are doing right now.
Interesting. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor John Jachi. He's an economist. We'll still take you live to Parliament shortly, where the minority and the majority in Parliament will be deciding on the fate of these 3 tax measures. But still in Parliament, there appears to be a grand agenda to, for lack of better expression, disburse wrong funds to the wrong places through the National Health Insurance Scheme. Well, this is the claim of the minority. They've been addressing a press conference earlier today. Listen.
In the year 2021, the government collected in excess of 2 billion and paid about 127 million Ghana cedis, and that constituted about 6%. And we raised issues out of that, as though the issues we raised last year angered the government. President Akufo-Addo Bawumia government decided that in the year 2022, they will pay absolutely nothing. Not 1 Ghana cedi was even released for the 2022 formula. So we approved the 2022 formula, and this year we are dealing with the 2023, but what we approved in the 2022 formula, nothing, absolutely nothing has been released. And let me take you through the figures. In the 2022 formula, it was estimated, and in fact, in the actual collection, government collected about 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. Out of the 3.6 billion Ghana cedis, government took about 1.7 billion Ghana cedis away. So they were supposed to pay the National Health Insurance Fund about 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. And if you check the formula they presented yesterday, 0 Ghana cedis was paid. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been paid. Now, this is a dangerous trend to collapse the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Well, you heard minority spokesperson on health, Kwabena Minta Akando. Well, he's been demanding an immediate forensic audit into the expenditure of the authority.
After taking these huge sums of money from the National Health Insurance Fund, the little that is left to be paid to the scheme to run it is also running into arrears almost every year. And so sometimes you hear that there's an outbreak of measles, there's an outbreak of polio, tetanus, and what have you. It is because some of these allocations are not paid on time, so we don't get the money to buy these vaccines, and it results in this outbreak of vaccines, and sometimes we lose some of our babies and children, and which is quite avoidable. During the consideration of the formula, we realized that the allocations, the IT component of the allocation is too high. So last year, for example, it was about 205 million Ghana cedis. Of course, this year it's been brought down to about 83 million Ghana cedis, but we still think that there should be a forensic audit, an independent probe into the IT component of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Well, let's take you now to some other stories. Some group of NPP supporters have launched a campaign dubbed BMW, Bawumia Must Win. Now, this, they say, is to help convince delegates to vote for the vice president as their flag bearer in the upcoming 2024 elections. There's more in the following report.
Scores of young Ghanaians who are mainly members of the governing New Patriotic Party believe the vice president holds the party's best chance of retaining power. MP for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama, is a member of the group.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the ideal person to lead Ghana to the promised land. He has footprints all over the world, and in Ghana, evidence-based. The electronic he's brought, the turnaround things, the drone delivery systems he's brought, acknowledgement by the Vice President of the United States. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the vehicle we are going to use to break the 8. And it's not me saying, the youth. Because first of all, because what we are saying now, we are the MPs and our electoral area coordinators, we are going to come out to endorse Bawumia. We are believing that inshallah, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would get 70% of the votes, of the total votes come December in the primaries. And we believe Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is best placed to succeed President Akufo-Addo and work on the legacies of Akufo-Addo and also to break the 8 for us, which is very critical. John Mahama, we will unseat, we will retire John Mahama, I can tell you.
The group has tagged its campaign BMW, simply Bawumia must win. Dr. Bawumia is coming up against immediate past Trades Minister Alan Kyerematen, immediate past Agric Minister Dr. Uswe Akoto, Kennedy Ejapong, Francis Adainimo, and others for the party's flag bearership when the MPP goes for Congress. But the group believes Dr. Bawumia stands tall among the lot and should be given the nod to lead the party into the 2024 elections. Sheila Bartels is Member of Parliament for Assin North constituency in the Greater Accra region.
Well, I believe that his vision, his passion, his knowledge, his ability to lead, and most of all, the ability to unite all of us. Because, you know, we are coming out of a world crisis, and we believe that whoever is leading us needs to be able to give us all a balance and needs to be able to rally everybody behind him. Whether, you know, the president is of a northern or southern persuasion, Christian, Muslim, and all of those things. You can see that this is a leader that doesn't matter your persuasion, you feel welcome, you know. So I believe that also with somebody who is able to take us from where we are now economically and help us within, you know, the trajectory that we want to go as a country, he is the one that holds the key, you know, to take us to where we want to go. So I know that nobody needs convincing. We all know that he is what we need.
The president of the campaign, Jesse Boakon, said the mission of the group was to make the vice president the flag bearer of the party with 85% of votes at the party's primaries.
Dr. Bawumia is the surest bet for the Ghanaian people. Looking at the digitalization drive currently, we are in a global economy. Ghana is a developing economy. Look at most of the developed economies, UK, Germany, and those countries. The digitalization agenda is happening right here in Ghana. And who should we give credit to? It's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Look at our port currently, the paperless port. We have the NHIS app. There is so many things. The mobile money interoperability. So we can't give credit to any other person than Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Our mission as a group, our mission is very simple. The mission is that we need to make sure Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becomes the flag bearer of the new patriotic party. And our vision is that Dr. Bawumia will become the president of the republic and will be sworn in on 7th January 2025. So this is our mission and vision as a group. Bawumia must win.
The launch, which was graced by leading members of the governing NPP, members of parliament, and some party supporters, was on the theme Making History with Dr. Bawumia as the next president of Ghana. Prince Kwame Kudoga's report, read to you.
While still on our campaign trail, former President John Dramani Mahama has lashed out at the judiciary as he says they have denied the people of Assin North fair representation in Parliament. There's more in this report by Richard Kotoyaku.
Mr. Mahama has been campaigning in the central region trying to woo delegates of the party to retain him on the ticket in the 2024 presidential elections. His campaign led him to the Assin North constituency, where he addressed the delegates there. The NDC presidential hopeful expressed his dissatisfaction at how the people of the Assin North have been denied representation in parliament. He says the development is a serious blot on the country's judicial system.
In Ghana, our motto is freedom and justice. It means that of all the values that we hold dear, justice is one of them. Unfortunately, sometimes the justice system does not work for everybody. The justice system has not worked for the people of Assin North, and it hasn't worked for Honorable Joe Quason. It is a blight on our system of justice that for such a long time, the Assin North people have been deprived of their MP representing them appropriately in Parliament. There's a blight on our justice system that a writ that is supposed to remove an injunction on him carrying out his functions as an MP has been pending before the courts for 1 year now. As a result of that, he cannot work in Parliament, and in addition, it has reduced the size of the minority in Parliament by 1 vote. It's unfortunate, and it's my hope that whoever are responsible for what is happening take steps to ameliorate the situation as early as possible so that the people of Assin North can have access to representation in Parliament.
The embattled MP for Assin North, Joe Quason, maintains what's happening to his constituents is as a result of some unseen powers manipulating the system to keep him out of Parliament.
Be honest with you, it's the constituent that is missing out a lot. I am a representative. The people have elected me to represent them. Now the people, if you say you will not allow the people's choice to perform its duties, that means you are depriving the people of Assin North from representation. And that is not right. In fact, it is not the job of the apex court, the Supreme Court, to put a restriction on a member of Parliament. This is a high court issue. But we live in a different atmosphere. We live in a different atmosphere where some decisions are influenced by some high powers. But I still have confidence that the courts are going to do the right thing. So long as the people of Assin North is behind me, I am not going to relent. I'll continue to work. I came purposely to serve my constituency and to serve my country. Is that a crime? And I did follow all the rules and regulations to make sure that I'm qualified, and that is why EC qualified me in the first place. So I don't see a situation where Electoral Commission, which is a separate entity, has approved a candidate, he wins an election, and then they turn around and say, no, the election is not void, or you have to go and rerun. But then again, it's let's put it in short, I'm hoping that the court will do the right thing. The only thing I feel is the not being able to serve the people that are so dear to me. I say not being able to do the right thing for them. The things that I promised them, I'm doing the best I can on my own as it stands right now, because all the resources supposed to come to me as a member of Parliament has been withheld. But that's not stopping me from doing my individual, personal work for them. And I'll continue to do that so long as I remain a member of Parliament for Assin North.
John Mahama ended his tour of the region on Thursday.
You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Fostina Sarfo. We're taking a quick breather. When we come back, we'll take you live to Parliament, where parliamentarians will decide the fate of 3 tax measures. Do stay. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Joy News Prime. Let's take you now live to Parliament, where the fate of 3 tax measures is going to be decided on by our parliamentarians.
Meetings with the EC to discuss a proposed new CI by the EC in preparation towards election 2024. We do not say you presented a report to the House.
Yes, Speaker. Maybe the report, the one that I have, the draft that I have, is different from what you are reading from. Because what I have here says that the committees subsequently submitted reports to the plenary session of Parliament. And we never submitted any report. Without as it may, Mr. Speaker, there were 2 germane issues. Mr. Speaker, this is a report that has been signed by yourself. And then Joanna Abina Sechi AJ, Mrs. Yes. There's a problem.
Yes. Honorable, your report seems to be different. We try to capture a bit of the journey. It's not numbered, but he's reading paragraphs. The paragraphs are numbered, but the pages are not numbered. So he was reading a paragraph. But that is not what is in the report that I have and assigned. Honorable Member, be as it may, could you continue? Yes, continue.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there were 2 principal issues that were of concern to this House. That was the use of the Ghana card as a sole proof of identity for purposes of registration. And then also the issue of using the district offices of the EC as registration centers. Now, the concern with the Ghana card, we all know, was that because the Ghana card was not available to most people in this country, especially in areas that were underserved by the NIA, there was a likelihood that if it was adopted, people will be disenfranchised. That was a concern of this House, which was expressed. And then also, the use of the district offices was going to also make it either difficult or impossible for people to go and register. Mr. Speaker, your committee has captured both issues very accurately in terms of the concerns that were expressed in this House. Mr. Speaker, the only problem that I have with respect to the registration centers is the fact that we are saying that the centers should be the electoral areas within the district of the commission and should be done on a rotational basis, which means that administrative arrangement must be put in place by the EC itself so that they can rotate from electoral area to electoral area. Now, what this also means is that if you have an electoral area that is geographically expansive, it may also make it very difficult for persons within the electoral area to reach the registration center. So we were proposing that if an electoral area is geographically expansive, the registration center should not be more than 10 kilometers. That was a proposal that was made when consultations were being made within a parliament for this problem to be resolved. So I think, Mr. Speaker, apart from this one, the issue relating to the use of the guarantor system has been accurately captured by your committee. Mr. Speaker, we all know that, as the Honourable former Minority Leader has pointed out, once the CI is laid here, we cannot make any changes. And this was decided by the Supreme Court in Stephen Nee, Bote, Okan, and others versus the EC and the Attorney General. And therefore, in the circumstances where we are making proposals, it will be incumbent upon the EC to incorporate these into the CI before coming to lay. If that doesn't happen, at the end of the day, it will be impossible for us to make any amendment if the CI is laid in the form in which it was brought. So, Mr. Speaker, I am hoping that the adoption of the report of the committee and a communication officially to the EC will make it impossible for the EC to bring back the instrument as was proposed, and that when the instrument is brought back in its original form, this House will, in a united voice, tell the EC that that instrument will be annulled by this House. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of the report of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, you had the MP for Bolgatanga East, Dominic Ayeni. Even before Parliament begins discussion on the 3 tax measures, they're already debating the controversial CI proposed by the Electoral Commission, which will enable the Ghana card be the only source of identification in the upcoming general elections. Well, they are on the floor right now, giving you a bit of what to expect. Dominic Ayeni is saying that Parliament should rather go by the proposal of the committee rather than the proposal of the EC. Well, let's take you to other stories now. We'll be keeping a keen eye on issues happening in Parliament and also ensure we bring you up to speed on the outcome of the 3 tax measures that are crucial for the economy at this time, which parliamentarians are yet to decide the fate on. Let's take you now to other stories because the Ghana Western Maritime boundary is intact. This is an assurance from the Ghana Boundary Commission. There's more on this report by my colleague Maxwell Awagba.
Some members of the inspection team from the Ghana Boundary Commission and the Ghana Navy using surveillance drones and a naval ship for the inspection around Ghana's Western Maritime boundary. It was days of hard work making sure there are no illegal activities taking place there. The International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, Electoral, in Hamburg, Germany in 2017 ruled in favor of Ghana in the maritime dispute with Côte d'Ivoire. Electoral, in a unanimous decision in September 2017, ruled that there has not been any violation on the part of Ghana on Côte d'Ivoire's maritime boundary. It also noted that Ghana has not violated Côte d'Ivoire's sovereign rights with its oil exploration in the disputed basin. Ghana's argument of adoption of the equidistance method of delineation of the maritime boundary was accepted. National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, says the second phase of the exercise was linking the land boundary terminus in line with the maritime boundary based on the 2017 ruling.
The Ghana Boundary Commission has a mandate to safeguard both land and maritime boundaries. As a result, we've decided for the very first time since the 2017 ITLOS ruling to undertake a maritime boundary inspection. The first phase involved the inspection of the maritime boundary at sea, and this involved personnel of the Ghana Boundary Commission, the Ghana Navy. Now, it took a period of 24 hours so far as that exercise was concerned, deep inside the sea. And they covered approximately 40 nautical miles from land along the sea. This is a very strategic mandate of the Commission, which we intend to undertake at different times of the year. We have been in touch with our counterparts, the National Boundary Commission of Côte d'Ivoire. We have collaborated with them. The Navy has also been in contact with the Ivorian Navy so far as the conduct of this exercise is concerned. I want to say that the exercise has been successful. We have not had any issues so far as this inspection is concerned. As far as our mandate is concerned, we will continue to do this periodically.
Director of Survey and Delimitation at the Ghana Boundary Commission, Henry Jabba, has been providing details of the inspection.
We use the maritime drone to set off. We set the path along the maritime boundary line, and we took off, extended the drone into the sea for about 5 kilometers to observe what is happening along it. Generally, there is no vessel crossing or any illegal activities that we observe. We have recorded the footage and everything, and the whole place is calm. So generally, that is the maritime drone aspect that we carried out this there's no vessel, there's no illegal activities, there's no pirates, nothing is going on at sea. So the international boundary is secured as of now.
A core part of the work of the Ghana Boundary Commission is sensitizing residents who live around border communities on their role in safeguarding Ghana's borders. The commission engaged residents of Newtown in the Western region, which is very close to Ghana's Western Maritime boundary. Speaking at an open forum, National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Imanokotia, told residents discussions are underway to reaffirm Ghana's land boundary with Côte d'Ivoire.
We've had a lot of information so far as the good neighborliness between the people living in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire is concerned. We also have a good relationship between the security agencies who are living within Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Our responsibility is to make sure that all boundary markers are visible for security agencies. And we are currently in discussions with the National Boundary Commission of Côte d'Ivoire for us to start exercise very soon that will reaffirm the international land boundary marks between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Come here with good news to you that continue to ensure that our boundary demarcations are protected, and in consultation with the National Boundary Commission of Côte d'Ivoire, if there are issues, we will willingly discuss with them so that we can amicably resolve any issue that comes up so far as our demarcation is concerned.
MC for Jomoro, Louisa Iris Ade, says the extensive work by the Ghana Boundary Commission will help preserve the good relationship between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire.
A great day. It's been an engagement between the Jomoro Municipal Assembly and the Newtown community, which is on the border, and then the Ghana Boundary Commission led by Major General Emmanuel Kotia. The discussion has been that after the litigation in court concerning the oil find, and then judgment and the ruling came that Ghana won in September 2017. But since then, there hasn't been any major activity around. We have to look at how we can protect our boundaries.
The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation provided a drone for the inspection. Its project manager says the Commission's work is important in protecting Ghana's natural resources.
Now let's give you our Ghana Month series story for today. Ever heard of a bleeding rock? Yes, a bleeding rock. Well, don't give me that look, because we have one right here in Ghana. Now, it's believed that decades ago, a warlord, while escaping from his enemies, decided to transform into a rock. But his enemies ended up inflicting machete wounds on that rock. Hence, that rock still bleeds till date. Rafik Salam has more in this report.
Parliamentary is a predominant Lobian farming settlement located in the southwestern end of the West district of the Upper West region. Located a couple of kilometers from the community is Bonare, named after an ancient warrior who was leading his people in an ethnic war and upon smelling defeat fell into a rock. His clansmen returned to the rock and saw several beads of blood ooze from the rock as a result of the machete wounds inflicted on the rock, suspected to be a human by his enemies. On our Ghana Man series today, we explore the history behind the 17th century Bonare, now rechristened Bleeding Rock. Unknown to us about the location and mileage of Bonare, we set off on our case footage, knowing too well that we'll reach there in no time. We reach the outskirts of the community, and it's the farthest our car could go because of the deplorable nature of the road. We alighted, pack off all gadgets, walk across the dried up valley, and bump into a tricyclist who we begged to send us to the area. He agreed to take us for free, but later changed his mind and asked for 30 Ghana cedis. The road to Bonare, where the Bleeding Heart Rock is located, is not for the faint-hearted. The road is deplorable, bumpy. Actually, it's not really in good shape because there are a lot of farming activities taking place here. Coupled with that, a lot of illegal miners who have done a lot of several pits, and so one has to meander your way through to get in there. And so we are on a tricycle, on the bucket of it, heading to Bonare. We were led to Bonare by one of the elders of the Tindambes, Mbasiri Tubiri Kumpalangmana. We handed him 1 Ghana cedis for him to seek permission for us from Bunare before we kickstart our work. Standing from afar, you see a human-like creature. Getting closer, you see the mystery surrounding it. Private Tour Guide Abdulaziz Belpu took us through the history of the human-like shaped rock.
This is what is referred to as the Bleeding Rock. History has it that an ancient warrior by name Bunere, some time back there was a tribal war, and he was leading his people, and he got to a point and realized that the raiders or the enemy was closing up on him and his group. So what he did was that he asked his followers to go to one direction while he diverts the attention of the raiders. And he himself, Bunere, was a very spiritual person, very powerful. He believed he could manifest into various objects and later turn back into human. So he asked his followers to go one direction whilst he diverted the attention of the enemy. He did exactly that, and whilst the enemy closed up on him, at a point he turned himself into this rock to disguise himself from the enemy or the raiders. Unfortunately, the raiders, we are told, traced his footsteps to this very rock, and the footsteps ended at exactly where the rock is. And as you can see, the rock is shaped in some form of a human or an old person with a hunch. I'm told that one of the raiders suspected this was a human being that turned to the rock, because one, that was where the footsteps ended, and the rock kind of looked like a human being. So it was advised that, well, if it is a human, they should inflict cuts or wounds on the rock. What that means is that once you inflict cuts or wounds into the rock, the spirit will be trapped inside. The spirit will not be able to come in or go out of the object. So these cuts were said to be inflicted with an axe. And because it was a human being that turned into a rock, he started bleeding. And as you see, depending on what time you come here, you either see fresh or dried blood. This is dried, yeah, but dripping from the cuts inflicted by the axe.
So this blood that you are talking about, it never get dried?
Well, at any point in time you come here, you definitely see blood, either fresh or dried. Today, unfortunately, the blood is dried. But if you look at the other side, this way, you realize that these are even older blood stains. Maybe probably from last year or something, very older blood stains. When I visited here last year, these bloods were fresh, dripping from the top. So at any point in time you come, you see either fresh or dry blood, but you see the marks.
It is the belief of the people that Bunare was their forefather who turned into the rock and has always come around to pray and offer sacrifices for good fortune. The evidence are these empty beer and narcotic bottles thrown all over around it.
The indigenes believe that this stone here is or was their ancestor who turned himself into a stone to protect or to defend the entire community. So from time to time, they come to pray here, they come to offer sacrifices here, and to seek goodwill and good fortune. For example, those who farm around, before the farming season, they come here to offer sacrifices, fowls, drinks, and other things, even money, so they can have a good yield. Others that do hunting, once they get here during hunting expedition, they offer sacrifices to the stone that they call their ancestor, hoping to get a good harvest. So these bottles you see here contain alcohol, mostly brought in by people who come to offer sacrifices. And at certain times, some people also come here to make demands or wishes. And once those wishes or demands are fulfilled, they also come to fulfill their pledges. So in some cases, they come with cash, they come with animals, and they always come with drinks.
Aziz Pelpo says, one major challenge faced is the deplorable nature of the road, and if fixed, will improve and attract sea of tourists here.
The road network connecting from Busa to Parliamentary, connecting from Parliamentary to this site is of more trouble, especially during the rainy season. It is not just accessible at all. So I think that if the road network can be improved, this particular attraction will attract a lot of people.
Apawas Regional Director of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Moses Indewuni Indebuguri, agreed hook, line, and sinker with him.
There is actually the need for us to have accessibility to the tourist sites. Not only this site, but other adjoining attractions within this community. When we are able to get an accessible road to this place, we will actually open up the place for more tourists to come and then visit. And of course, this we recommend adventure tourists to come around. Those that will be able to get means to can equally patronize this particular place.
Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam, Parliamentary.
Interesting story. I will be visiting that site soon. Well, to other stories now. After weeks of fierce contest, finally the 4th edition of the Love FM's primary school quiz has reached the semi-final stage. There's more in this report.
We have Hansi Gold Community School.
Fierce and impressive performance from all 36 schools that participated in the 4th edition of the Love FM Primary School Quiz. The preliminary stage pruned the number of 24 schools who battled it out for 9 slots in the semi-finals. These semi-finals will feature Hansi Gold Community School, Amazing Grace School, Divine Mission Academy, The Ridge School, Promise International School, Mata Devi Basic School, Martyrs of Uganda Preparatory School, St. Louis Jubilee, and defending champions Mana International School. Quizmaster Erastus Asare Donko believes the contest has been fantastic. So he calls on public schools to join the contest going forward.
We've moved to the quarter-final stages, and now we are ending the quarter-final stage, and we have 8 schools qualifying to the semi-finals of the Love FM Primary Schools Quiz 2023. I must say that we've seen some surprise performances from some of the schools coming from the hinterlands. And some of the so-called big schools have been taken over as well. It has been quite a great performance from the children. Going forward, I don't know, but this is a call and a challenge to the public schools as well. I know that they are governed and supervised by government, the Ghana Education Service and all that. We would like to partner all of them.
He encouraged qualified schools to be confident as they move to the next stage of the contest.
Surprise me. I'm your uncle. Surprise me this time around. Let's see which schools, with 3 schools, will compete strongly and enter into the finals. That's what I wait to see, and it will gladden my heart to know that the children really came forward, they learned, and they were able to supersede everything.
Pupils of Mata Devi Basic School and Martyrs of Uganda Preparatory School shared their experiences throughout the previous contest and the expectations ahead of the semi-finals.
Really good, and I loved how we were leading, and also how we emerged the winners of this contest.
Our victory was by grace, and our efforts were so much that by the grace of God we won.
It feels very nice, like I'm very excited. It's very nice. I guess we'll take the cup on the finals.
It feels cool to be winners. It was difficult in the first round, but in the other rounds, we powered and we became first, and we led, and we won the quarterfinals, contest 8. So I feel happy. I know we will take the trophy home.
Patrons of some qualified schools are optimistic of winning the 4th edition of the primary school quiz.
How are you taking this victory?
Well, it wasn't too much of a difficult contest, though some of the questions were not expected. But I think for us, our principle has always been one contest at a time. So we prepare for each contest as and when each round or each level of the contest, we come in with different approach, different strategy.
The kids, they did their best. You should expect better from us because we have a precedence here. The maiden edition, which was held for schools, we won it. And then as we've been able to go through this hurdle, we are sure the semi-final is also a done deal for us.
So on April 3rd, we begin the semi-finals of the Love FM Primary School Quiz, as 9 schools will be featured in the contest. 3 schools will proceed to the final stage. Which school will win the 4th edition of the Love FM Primary School Quiz? For Joy News, my name is Nana Boache Dankwayadom.
We're taking a quick break here on Joy News Prime. When we return, we take you to Parliament. Do stay with us.